To shoot this video, ladies, be careful what you tell your kids and stuff like that, especially about their fathers and men about their mothers, all this old type shit. Be careful what you tell your kids and shit like that. Case in point, I was raised kind of wild. If anybody know my mom, Beverly Ann, aka Black, anybody knew my mom, we was raised kind of wild, out there a little bit. We was out there, times, no food, all this old shit. I got this burn scar on my arm, and every time I look at it, remind me of how we used to starve sometime when I was a kid. We was hungry out there a lot of time. But a lot of time my mom used to talk shit about my dad. Now, my dad wasn't around. He was in prison a lot and all that old type shit. And I really don't know what went on in the relationship. And, but for whatever reason, my dad, he stopped fucking with my mom. She wanted to fuck with him, but he didn't want to fuck with her. For whatever reason. So my mom talked a lot of shit about him and shit. And she kept trying to get back with him. Even right before she died, she kept trying to get back with him. And, before he died. Both my parents are deceased. But, she talked mad shit about my dad. And, not that she talked mad shit about my dad. I used to hear all kind of stories she used to tell about how my dad was a gangster. How he was shooting people, how he was doing all that, and everybody was scared of him and his brothers, and they had the craziest family, and nobody fucked with him and shit. Nobody fucked with them birds and all this old type shit. And that played on my mind and shit. It's a trip how three people can be raised under the same household. I was around my mom until I was 13, 14 years old, until I moved to California. But we all, I had my brother and my sister. We all had different fathers. My sister's father, I can't speak too much on that or whatever, whatnot. But, they had a weird relationship and whatever, whatnot. And I kind of feel for my sister in a racial respect because she really didn't really get too much of her dad. And she ended up, kind of all right. She got a little job and shit like that. But, when the parents are just kind of absent and shit like that, it's, trying to climb that motherfucking mountain is a little bit more rough. You know what I'm saying? So my sister, she kind of went through it a little bit, not being around her dad a lot, but she knows her dad and her father's side of the family. And my brother, his father kept a nice job and property, all this old type shit. And I never heard my mom talk any ill things about him, about my brother's father. And, he was a stand-up guy. For the most part that I know about, he was a stand-up guy. He might have been a little womanizer on the down low, but at the same time, he kept his money right, kept his property right, kept his family together and all this old type shit. And, that's my brother's dad. And so I ended up kind of like my dad. My brother ended up kind of like his dad. My brother, he's been working and all this old shit. He's a deacon. He don't even cuss. And, he be doing his thing, handling his business. Probably never went to jail. I think he said he went to jail once for about a couple of hours or something like that. But other than that, my brother, he don't even cuss, man. And been doing this stand-up thing for a while, you know what I'm saying? Kind of taking after his father. But me, I took after my father to a certain degree. I done been in penitentiary a couple of times. I done shot motherfuckers. I done been out there, you know what I'm saying, in the streets. And it doesn't help that I was raised in the streets. My mama was out there. You know what I'm saying? I had a pimp stepdaddy, Nicky. If anybody know about Nicky and Ronnie Cole, Tulsa, Oklahoma, man, we had the only motherfucking Cadillac in the motherfucking city with a TV in that motherfucker. Real shit. I used to be on the host roll with my pimp stepdaddy watching Soul Train. True story. True motherfucking story. And the 70s, early 70s, 70, 73, 74, early 70s. And niggas was pimping like a motherfucker back then and shit. But my mama wasn't no bottom bitch or nothing like that. She wasn't hoeing, but for whatever reason, you know what I'm saying, this pimp guy, he liked my mom. And so all this old type shit, all this, even when we was around a lot of gangster shit, a lot of bullshit and all, and a lot of that played on my mind like that was the cool shit. Ever since I could remember, I always wanted to be a gangster. Ever since I wanted to be, ever since I was young, man, I always wanted to be some kind of gangster because that's all I was hearing from my mother about my dad and about the guys that she kept around. And they was all kind of like gangsters and all this old shit. So I kind of looked up to that shit. And so I ended up in prison and, and my life is kind of bullshit right now, But it all stems from You know, me out there fucking up and imitating, emulate my dad and that lifestyle and shit like that. And I always used to always hear, yo, that dad's this gangster, he's a killer, all this old type shit. And man, I used to want to be just like that, man. I used to want to be like that, you know, until I got older. You know what I'm saying? And now I know better. My son, he's taking after me. He done heard a lot of bullshit about me being this type of motherfucker. So, you know, he took it to the next level. If anybody know my son out there, you know what I'm saying? That nigga took it to the next level. And so he's in prison, you know, going through some shit, you know, just like I was and just like my father was. And somehow we got to break that cycle. And I'm saying that, you know, don't be speaking negative toward, you know, negative about, you know, the parents at all. If you do, put them up in a good light. Or don't say nothing at all, because, you know, kids like to end up like that, man. Kids like to end up like that, man. And just like my brother, never heard anything bad about his dad, or, you know, all I know is his dad working and holding down his family, and that's what my brother did. And me, in and out of prison and selling drugs, all that old shit, just like my dad. Just like my dad. My mama said the shit. She talked about it like it was cool when I was a kid. And, you know, you don't know until you get older, until like, whoa, that shit wasn't cool. You want to be a gangster? What the fuck? You know what I'm saying? It's one thing being a gangster, but it's one thing being a stupid gangster in and out of prison and all that old type shit. You know, you got to be some smart gangsters these days. You know what I'm saying? And it don't hurt nobody with what you're doing, you know? So, yeah, I just had to make that motherfucking little video. And yeah, be careful what you tell your kids and what you show your kids and shit. And because that shit'll get to playing on their mind, and fuck around, they'll end up just like that. Rock Beat, 3 on the tree. Hope y'all like that one. I'm out.